Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Sammy Leggett here representing Team JVS here. You guys another review. This is actually from Fantastic Fest 2024. It's a little late and dollar short, so I apologize ahead of time. But I'm talking about a movie called The Severed Son. Severed Son was directed by Dean Puckett. The premise of it is you got a character named Magpie. Her father is basically the leader of this community. And they are a very highly religious community that are pretty much straight and narrow, but the father is a person that kind of rules over the community, so it kind of facilitated very strangely. But as a pastor, his daughter, of course, is married, and then something happens to the person that she's married to, and things get very dark very quickly. On top of that, there is a proposed like beast or something that's going around killing and maiming people, and it's kind of spurned from this other act of violence that's tied to the pastor's daughter. Now, Toby Stevens plays the role of the pastor that is Magpie's father. Now, Emma Appleton plays the role of Magpie. It's a slew of other awesome actors and actresses in this, but it really surrounds Magpie. Magpie as a character, she seems as though she basically is not necessarily denouncing her faith, but she just doesn't have any faith in what the community believes. And I think that she is indulging in her engaging, lustful, and desired thoughts. It's not even her intrusive thoughts. There's some other elements that are at stake, and I think she's unfortunately been she's a victim of a certain circumstance that is connected to her father. Now, Emma is amazing in this. Like, she does so many, she acts around people. Like, she truly does devote herself completely to the craft. There's another character played the role of well, the name of the character is David, but it's played by Lewis Gribben. They're man, it's such a twisted, dark situation. And it's at the epicenter is Toby's character, the pastor, because he allows and facilitates a lot of the things that go on within the community, and a lot of things that go on in the community is just kind of get overlooked. And at this point, it's at a breaking point. Now, what the things that I liked about the film is outside of the acting, I think the way that they built up tension, and it's such a very interesting artistic indie film because throughout the film, you really don't know what's real and what's, something that is presumed to be something else. Until the third act, you really get an understanding of how insane it actually is and what's really going on. And you don't really know until, unfortunately, more evil and tragic things happen. And this also can get very gory as well. Like, the gore that happens and the violent acts that happen with this is going to really throw you off. But this isn't like, a very high budget. Like, the budget is really low. So when you see some of the gore and some of the things, they're using a lot of practical effects, and sometimes they're using like different lenses and different effects to be able to circumvent some of the gaps that they have. Now, the monster and the beast, the way that the beast looks, it looks very malicious, very evil, and but it looks also very cheap at the same time. And I don't know, depending on the audience member that's watching this, they may be completely taken out of it. And then others may be just because of the simplicity of how it's designed and the fact that it doesn't necessarily have a face is very terrifying at times. But I think that there are certain elements they use, like some CG elements at times as the monster kind of maneuvers around. They're pretty decent CG and VFX, so they don't like waste the VFX that they have. But I think that there are certain moments where I feel like the actual beast itself could have been done a little bit better, a little bit tighter, I think. Also, some of the artistic choices and the way that the characters interact kind of comes off very artsy, and it makes it feel like at times it's disjointed. Not to say that the narrative is, but it's non-linear. Sometimes they go out of pocket to show certain things that are happening out of time. And then there's other times where you're just kind of assuming that this is a dream. Necessarily, it couldn't be real life. And it kind of feels like a fever dream at times, and sometimes it may take you out. I think the way that they handle it, it comes off very evil, very malicious, very harsh film. But I do think that there's artistic integrity with the way that they kind of handled it. But it's definitely not for everybody, and it's definitely acquired taste. But I do appreciate certain things that they kind of add to this as far as with Dean's directing and writing style with it. But I just, for me, going into the third act, it was very, very dark in a way that I just did not anticipate, and it kind of took me aback. Um, but I did want to kind of comment on it because it is for you guys that are cinephiles and like, love indie films and love indie horror. I think it's worth checking out at least once, but there are some dark themes and, dare I say, like some even demonic certain aspects of it that you may want to just be hesitant of. You shouldn't let your children see this, and even like some of the sexual sensual acts that happens in this is very, very rough. So just be forewarned about that ahead of time. I'd rest this at a 5.5 or 6 out of 10. So that's kind of where it kind of lays with it. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you guys soon. Congratulations on a brand new year. Peace, everybody.